Comic Timing is member supported by listeners like you over at patreon.com/comic timing. We thank you very much for your continued support of the show. For $1 little a month, you get all the behind the scenes access you could fit into a Patreon, including articles by Chris Naudis, occasional extra audio and video whenever we can throw it your way. May very well be ad-free episodes once we start inserting mid-roll ads into it. Until then, you can deal with the beginning and end ads. Like, come on, man, come on. It's like a 1 minute skip, and you're all good. But patreon.com/comic timing. We thank you very much for your continued support of the show. If you want to give a one-time donation, that's available at paypal.me/IAM sci-fi. Hey there, folks. My name's Ian Levinstein, and welcome to episode 279 of Comic Timing. And it is my behind the curtain second recording in 2 days, which is not something that I do very often, but under special circumstances, it is a thing that can occur. I'll introduce the person who's here more regularly first. It's Raph Suhu. What's going on, Raph?
Hello, Ian. Hello for the first time.
Yes, ever.
No, but not this. The first time this week because I was.
Oh, that's true. Yes,
so
that's true. Again, you were mentioned by name. I did say before we started recording because Bartheus will bring you up. And joining us on this very episode, a man whose beard is more beardy than mine, and a man who once upon a time shared a table with me at the long forgotten podcast arena in New York Comic Con. The one, the only Nick Marino. Welcome to Comic Timing, Nick.
Thanks for having me here, guys. It's nice to be catching up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been way too freaking long. Probably not too long after we shared a table, which was at least 10, 13, 14 years ago now. Holy crap, time flies. What the hell?
It's a long time ago, man.
2000. If it was 2000, it was the first one. It was almost 20 years ago now.
It wasn't. It definitely wasn't the first one because
second or third one.
Second or third, something like that.
So 17 or 18 years ago.
Wow.
Our tables are are going to college soon.
Oh dear Lord.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for once again reminding me of how time flies by, whether I want it to or not. It was 2014. I'm looking at it now. In my
it's only 12. Okay, so it's in middle
school. No. It had to be earlier. I didn't live in Cali by
right.
then.
Yeah,
I moved here in 2013. I think 11 or 12.
Okay, no. You know what it was? I went into my archives. I remember you were at New York Comic Con in 2014, and I reviewed you. I interviewed you about at the time. Holy fuck!
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah. So before then, it was quite a long time before then. But yeah, either way, welcome back, man. And yeah, so Godzilla, huh?
Yeah. God, it's
There you go. Yep.
It's a great monster.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. One that you have the pleasure of now working on. So
yeah.
Before we get into the nuts and bolts of that, as it has been many, many years since you were last on the show, if you want to kind of give your comic origins, how you first got the bug, and honestly, what got you into writing as well? Was it a childhood thing, or did it just suddenly materialize after podcasting about comics for a decent amount of time? Give us a little bit of the behind the scenes of what makes Nick tick.
That was nice.
Thank you.
That was really nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't have a comic book origin because my memories don't go back enough. I don't know. It was just, how it was back in the day. It was different. They were accessible from everywhere. And that was just kind of our pop culture. I think the way that kids use, mobile games and stuff like that, it was that kind of accessibility. Yeah. So it's always been a part of my life. I was a cartoonist, a childhood cartoonist. You know you have the artist in your class? I was that guy. Mm-hmm. And I did that. And then I decided I was sick of drawing. And then I was like, I'm going to do other stuff. And I still wanted to be making comics. And as I added other things to, my I don't know what you said. As I started doing other stuff, like
portfolio, repertoire.
Yes, thank you. My portfolio, yeah. As I added stuff to my portfolio of life, one of them became podcasting, which is how you and I got to know each other.
Yep.
And around that time, I'd already started writing comics, but I was self-publishing. And then, this is a great memory, we spoke at New York Comic Con 2014, and by that point, I'd announced my first published work, which was a comic called Holy Fuck, which was a wonderful experience creatively, terrible experience business-wise, but that happens, you know. And did a couple of those, couple volumes of that. Did another book with that same publisher that was kind of in a similar vein, another mature readers, like action comedy. And since then, I've just been making web comics and slowly getting into licensed books, which is it's a challenge to get into the licensed stuff if you don't. If you're not a Nepo or you're not coming from a fancier business. So, it's been a slow grind, but, I've been doing bits and pieces here. I started off my licensed stuff with some Transformers work, and then I did some Godzilla work. Then I did some more Godzilla work. Last year I did some Power Ranger stuff. And while all that was going on, the entire time I was working on my beautiful, almost 4-year-old child, Sonic Godzilla. We don't pronounce the X. Spy Family style. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. I like it. Yeah.
But you could say the X. I'm trying to be, I feel like that would be the accepted way of referring to it.
It's authentic.
Yeah. Thank you.
I do my best not to say the X in Spy Family. Also, it's just like it all these years of being forced to say like AVX and stuff like that. But what my brain goes X-Men on X and it's always there, but like it's not just a punctuation like it should be, even though it is just a punctuation in the form of this. So yeah.
Wait. Okay. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. See, Hunter. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, but I got a question then.
Yeah.
Is the X supposed to be like times?
I think or
cross, I think.
Cross, right?
Okay. Yeah, like Tekken Cross Street Fighter or Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Yeah. That's when I first learned that.
Cross would be cool if we said that, right?
Yeah. In fact, you know what? Screw it. Sonic Cross Godzilla. There you go.
Yeah.
That is now the official way that we are going to wind up saying this because it is a little crossover. So that just makes even more sense. There you go.
Damn.
Yep.
Thanks, Raph. That was great.
Yeah, of course. There's a reason why I keep inviting him on here. I forgot what it was, and then he just reminded me.
20 years.
20 years, baby. 20 years. Oh, my God. So, well, you mentioned license as I choke and die. You mentioned, how licensing can be a bit of a challenge. And I always kind of ask this question to people who are working on licensed works, like just how much input is there by the licensee when you're putting something like this together, where they're two very, very different licenses?
Part of me is like, you're trying to get me in trouble. And part of me is like, sure, let me tell you everything.
No, hey, trust me, we are not trying to gotcha here in any way, shape, or form, okay? All right? You tell me what you can tell me.
Let me just outline all the controversial mandates that we have. I'll just air those publicly. No.
Yes.
It's really, I think the thing is, a lot of it's case by case, right? So you don't often know what the restrictions are, rules are going to be, or even what the input's going to be until they have it for you, right? That's the thing that I think I haven't worked on anything quite this high profile before. And when we announced it about a month ago, it was really, there was a quick, couple day learning curve for me where I had to come to realize that people have a lot of assumptions about how this stuff gets done.
Yeah.
And a few people kind of understand it, but a lot of it has like a mystique to it, I think, especially outside of the superhero world. They talk a little bit more about their nuts and bolts, I think, than maybe some of the other licensed comics do traditionally.
Sure.
And the thing that people were thinking that I didn't necessarily anticipate them to assume was that we had some kind of, like I'd been given some kind of rule book or something,
Right.
Which just isn't the case. Now, I will say, in the case of one character who shall not be named, I was given a sheet about this character's rules. But this is only because the editors have traditionally had a hard time with this particular character,
right.
making sure that it meets guidelines. But I'm never going to say who that is, because that rule sheet was outrageous and hilarious, and I got a lot of joy from it. Well, but I can't share it.
Well, I know, being the resident Godzilla fan, that Godzilla, like, you, even at the beginning of the episode, you mentioned Godzilla has no gender.
Correct.
He or she, but Godzilla is a parent because,
correct,
because of Minya, and or baby, or Godzilla Jr., whichever one you want to pick.
Yeah, and, all of them, really, right?
Exactly.
It's like they're all, and they're like slightly different, but like kind of, but like
Which I actually wanted to ask you about. So, like, what is your experience before writing Godzilla? Because we talked about your comic book origin again.
Yeah.
What's your Godzilla, like, sort of history then?
My Godzilla history is that I did not have a lot of exposure to Godzilla before the 21st century. Where I lived in Chicago area, Western New York, it wasn't something that crossed my path much. I mean, I think that the 98 Godzilla film was really the American one, was like the first thing that was really like in front of me that I knew about. I liked the animated series that came out after that.
Matthew Broderick and allergies, baby. That's exactly what it is. Yep.
And like, I have a fondness for all that stuff previous to taking on these assignments professionally. But I would say that it wasn't until my wife, Rosie, who is a huge kaiju fan, really brought me into the fandom within the past decade of our relationship, and sort of introduced me to the wider world of Godzilla from the things that I picked up just in pop culture. Like, I knew who Mothra was. Oh, okay. Because of MF Doom, I knew about King Ghidorah. Or Ghidorah, as they say on Monster Island Czars, right? Like, that was probably my biggest kaiju fandom previously was the Monster Island Czars stuff. Like, so, in the past decade, I've gotten to know that stuff. And then a friend of ours became the Godzilla editor at IDW at some point, with a lot of encouragement from us being like, take the job. and then once I was on these assignments, oh man, the things I've learned, the wonders I've seen. I've had to dive really deep into some things. I've gone I've gotten really specific.
Well, I think that's one of the benefits in a way for you doing like these, Godzilla, if you want to quote unquote say side projects, is that like you could basically learn as you're going.
It's true.
Because there's a lot to learn there, but also I wouldn't quite say that there's less pressure, but it's not like, oh, I'm on the main Godzilla book and there's all this history behind it, and I gotta remember all of it right now because we're continuing on, a previous arc or something like that. Like with a one shot, there's a lot more leeway, and with the miniseries, there's a lot more leeway because you are the one in the driver's seat for that type of scenario. I would imagine.
Yeah, no, it was a really good learning experience. The two previous projects I did, I wrote one, Godzilla Rivals, Biollante versus Destoroyah, and then I was an assistant colorist on a OGN that my wife wrote and our friend Oliver drew. And I was basically like his flatter and a little bit more. Like, because we were trying to cut down the time that he would have to spend on the pages. And, you learn a lot when you do those kind of things, a lot of interesting, weird specifics. And you end up with a lot of questions that have to be answered at some point. So between those two things, it definitely prepared me for this. And I was very fortunate in that sense, because once this book really started moving forward about 2 years ago, it is as it currently is, which is run out of the Sonic editorial office.
Yeah.
And they liaise with the Godzilla office and with Toho. But I'm lucky because I knew a lot of what I could and could not do by that point with Godzilla. And it worked to my benefit because I could be, I wouldn't say my own editor, but I was maybe my own, I didn't need to go to the Godzilla editor with questions, let's say, which was fortunate. Now, Sonic, on the other hand, that was a very interesting learning experience. But also Sega is very, very particular about how they do things. They only allow, certain approved visuals for the character, and they have certain constants, let's say, for the way that the world operates within the IDW continuity. And yeah, it was cool getting into that stuff, because I was, like most people in the world, a really casual Sonic fan. I played the games growing up. Yeah. I know who Sonic is. I saw the movies, but knowing the ins and outs of all the little things you can't do with him, is water. That was a really big learning curve for me. What Sonic can and can't do around water. And that changed our story a lot because there's a lot of water in our story.
Go
ahead.
I was just gonna say I remember the two cartoons during the 90s.
Yeah.
I still remember one of the theme songs, but I wanted to
sing it right now.
Look fast, he's going by. Sonic the Hedgehog, too fast for the naked eye. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic, he can really move.
All right, that's about that's as much as we can get before we get dinged on YouTube. Also,
Sorry,
I was enjoying that.
No, I know.
Maybe like
the
a
other thing
karaoke
was-
podcast.
Yeah, right. We should do that. The other thing is, when I worked at Midtown Comics, one of my coworkers was a Sonic fan, and they have a very small but very, very dedicated fan base.
Oh my God!
So unique. So that's maybe the most. Yeah, sure. What the input from the licensors? I don't know. I get confused about the language. Stakeholders, as I was recently taught by a different publisher. The input from the stakeholders. Yeah, sure. That's important. That's significant. Oh, nothing can compete with the intensity of a fan base, and that's been the most fascinating thing about going on a few different licenses. Transformers fan base, they've been hurt so many times that their sense of humor is unparalleled, right? Godzilla fan base, very optimistic. And I think that has to do with the situation we're in right now. It's a great time to be a Godzilla fan. Much good stuff happening. But also, I think that there's always a hope that your deep cut fave is going to show up, because I think that it's like the kaiju sometimes get used a little bit more like Hulk, right? You're always waiting for the moment when he transforms, right? You're always waiting for the moment when the kaiju show up, and like you never know who's going to show up, and that I think it keeps the fans really excited. Power Rangers, that was interesting because they're much more laid back than either the Godzilla or Transformers fan bases, but they're also more specific because there's been so many iterations, Sonic's like all of those put together.
I just literally just got, done podcasting with Martheus Wade yesterday, who's like one of the most, major Power Rangers Sentai fans that I know, and coming off of that and being like, yeah, man, the fact that we're Power Rangers lists right now outside of the comics, it's like we need our hit, man. We need our buzz, like one way or the other.
It's a weird time, man. One of my favorite quotes from that Toys Who Made Us specials that they did was when they had, is it Saban? Is that how he says his last name? Saban? I can't remember how high his name.
Saban. Yeah.
Saban, thank you. When he's talking about how he said, yeah, I sold him to Disney, then I bought him back from Disney, and then I sold him to Hasbro, and maybe I'll buy him back from Hasbro. He's like, and maybe that's what he's waiting for, Maybe Hasbro's like, I don't know what they're doing over there. But it's all these things are great. It's so much fun to be a fan, and it's so much fun to meet people that are passionate about these things. But you say the wrong thing or you do something a little bit off, you will experience the fan wrath, which I don't necessarily mind. That's like, nothing can compete to the rejection from publishers. That's like, that's 20 times bigger than any kind of fan wrath you're going to get. But but it's interesting.
Well, and plus, like, I mean, you talk about the Sonic fandom and stuff like that. Godzilla, there are, we do a previews episode every single month, and there are like 5 different publishers all putting out Godzilla comics in one form or another with different iterations of Godzilla that they have access to the license of at that particular time. Like the fact that Marvel and DC are both putting out crossover Godzilla comics at the same time, where they're facing either the Avengers or, the Justice League, while IDW is doing their thing. And then there's like some other random publishers that'll throw out, their own Godzilla books along with it. It is one of the most potent IPs in the entire world. But at the same time, parameters and which version of Godzilla do you get to play with, I'm sure very much plays into what you have access to.
No, it really does. And there's all the MonsterVerse stuff, Legendary, because they produce the films, that's what they publish. Sure. And that's really interesting and really its own pocket thing. And then the Toho material is open to anybody who manages to get a yes to make their how would you say, to make their crossover, their, in IDW's case, to hold the license to that. But yeah, it's there's been a Godzilla explosion. When I started working on this stuff in 2022, it was maybe late 21. There was not a whole lot going. I mean, we had the movies, don't get me wrong. But publishing wise, I think the only thing they'd managed to swing outside of the couple of books they were doing at IDW at the time was the Power Rangers Godzilla crossover, which is really cool. Gorgeous art. Freddie Williams II.
Of course.
Friend of the show.
Yep.
Yeah. His work is gorgeous. And that's super cool. And so when I was pushing this thing forward in 2022, we hadn't had all these crazy crossovers. I mean, hell, the movie Godzilla Cross Kong hadn't even had that name. I was like, oh, we're going to do something novel here. It's going to, now it's like, we're in the middle of this insane, I don't even know what you would call it. It's not a glut, because it's actually, a lot of these crossovers are really spectacular, but there's definitely there's a surplus of crossovers right now. Well,
we'll just go ahead and call it the Godzilla-sans. We are currently in the middle of a Godzilla-sans.
As the resident Godzilla fan, I can tell you that it's because Toho wants to aggressively expand the fandom.
This is very true.
And this part of it is America, and then another part of it's Southeast Asia. They have a dedicated Southeast Asia branch now. They did a special trailer for their Southeast Asia content. I think the My Hero Academia looking anime is for that audience, with the kid who has the power of Godzilla.
Yeah.
And I know that because the Japanese fan base is getting older, and there's not really like as many. And then with this international success of -1, they were like, oh, you like American Godzilla and Japanese Godzilla? It's like, yes, we want more Japanese. Give me now.
What's that, Apple? You want to make a show with both Russells in them?
That show's so good though. I love that show. Season 2's on right now. It's been so good so far.
Yeah, I gotta catch up. Yeah, I gotta catch up on it. It's definitely on my list of things to watch. But just the fact, I mean, again, you got Wyatt Russell playing a young Kurt Russell.
It's beautiful.
Come on.
Yeah.
You can't get better than that. You really can. But also at the same time, as Raph just mentioned, with -1, not just getting fan acclaim, but critical acclaim. That's something that I feel like had been lacking at least a little bit with the Godzilla franchise in America for a little while. There were some that Japanese movies that made success here, but -1 really, I feel like, put Godzilla back on the map in an entirely separate way than we are going to put this giant monster and this giant monster together in a movie and they're going to fight. Like it really put like the art back into Godzilla that may have been lacking, at least in America, for a little while. Even though, yes, obviously it's not an American movie, but still, like the pastiche of it all, I feel like, is back a little bit after all these years.
Academy Award winning.
Correct. Yeah. I think both of you make a really great point. Toho is being more aggressive with what they're doing. They're even just in general in business. They bought G Kids last year, or at least acquired a majority stake. I don't know which one it is exactly, but they're trying to expand what they do, just generally speaking. And I think they want, I've seen that in the way that the way things have changed, even just on our end in terms of how our approvals get done and stuff. They're so open to things right now. It used to be much more tightly reined in, and this was the vision. And aside from a few requests, like, they want us to use the Showa version of Mechagodzilla. It's like other way around. They want us to use Heisei version of Mechagodzilla, not Showa. They're generally like, yeah, sure, do it. I think a long time ago, well before the project even had the green light, they were like, yeah, sure, you can draw Godzilla in the Sonic style. That sounds good.
Yeah.
They were like, that works for us. We're fine with it as long as it's out there. And I think that Godzilla -1 has definitely, if you were already a fan, it's like they just gave you the most scrumptious meal you've ever had. And maybe if you weren't a fan before, you're looking at it a little differently. You might have thought to yourself, oh, these were B movies. But now you're like, oh, wait, no, that's not the case. I'm not saying they were. I'm just saying I think that for a lot of people who only know about it from the most basic level of pop culture, I think they were perceived as being that way for a long time. And then Shin Godzilla sort of inched it a little closer to something that was like oh, okay, they're trying to get a little bit more like intense with the, the intrigue in the film, the human element of that part. And then, yeah, Godzilla -1, that just ripped the doors off. I mean, what a film.
It really is, yeah. I mean, Raph, you know better than anybody, man. Like, I mean, yeah, the B has definitely become the A.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just that's the thing with Godzilla is he can fit into so many movies, and like I think for a lot of people, I mean, like, okay, there's basically two camps, right? There's a slider. You can either go super intense human drama with Godzilla as this nuclear death lizard threat that constantly threatens everything and makes you feel unsafe. And then you got the slider over here and it's giant monsters fighting and, really goofy plots like, I don't know, Godzilla teaches his kid to fight back against his bully, and it's actually it's actually the daydream of a 1970s Japanese kid who's a latchkey kid because his parents are working all the time, and the bully is a metaphor for these robbers who are trying to get this fortune they stole that they hid in the neighbor of the kid's car. Like that. That's a movie. That's all Monsters Attack, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
they do some crazy stuff.
Also,
they do.
Speaking of crazy, you just going back to IDW real quick. Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
What a I know you didn't work on it, Nick. What an insane, perfect.
I had an interest. I didn't work on it, but but Tom is a friend of mine from when I lived in Pittsburgh a long time ago, and I'm so happy for the success he had with that book. And I did have I think maybe it's an overstatement to say I had something to do with them extending or expanding it now. But let's say I had a pitch kicking around with the editor, Jake Williams, and I wouldn't let it go. I was like, come on, man, I want to do this story. I want to do the story with a buddy of mine who is a classic superhero artist, but he's never had the chance to do Godzilla. And I met him at a convention a few years ago, and he said he wanted to, and I was like, well, let me see what I can do. So I designed a story for him, and I brought it to Jake, and I was like, come on, man, let's do this. And Jake was patient with me, but not really that interested. But he did come back to me, and he was like, what if we tried to make it like fit with Monsterpiece Theater? And what if we did like a new series, and like you guys could do something that tied in with Monsterpiece? And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot, And then I didn't really hear anything about it after I tried my version of it. And then they just announced the thing, like, what was it? Maybe like a few weeks ago that they're doing more Monsterpiece.
They solicited Romeo and Juliet, and then they just announced Odyssey. Like literally, I think yesterday or the day before.
Nice.
Yeah, Jake, I'm still waiting for that call, man. Come on, we can do this.
Come on,
Let's make
Jake.
it happen, baby.
Well, and all while this is happening, I mean, there's stuff like Godzilla versus America, which brings an entire other layer to it. As each stop on the tour, you get these different writers and artists together to basically write their city being attacked by Godzilla. Like it's such a smart way to do an anthology and include as many creators as humanly possible in the process of it all. Like it's really
great
smart.
how many people they got involved. I also want to take like non-credit for that because that's what my Godzilla Rivals story was. Godzilla came to Pittsburgh. Godzilla terrorized Pittsburgh. But that's ultimately that was, let's say I had no participation in that whatsoever. But hopefully they saw the promise of it.
Hopefully.
With my story.
You know what? We're just because you're on, we're just going to say that Nick Marino was the entire inspiration behind all of this. Like literally all of this.
Godzilla -1, that was just my real life. That just it happened to me.
Yep.
-0, just read my autobiography if you want to know where the movie goes next.
Unless you don't want spoilers.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, no spoilers. Yeah, of course.
Wait till after it's out, then go read the autobiography.
Right, exactly.
That's the way it goes.
There's been I think the thing that IDW has done that I really appreciate the most is they're letting, before they had a more focused version, let's say, and I wouldn't call what they're doing unfocused now. I'd say what they're doing is they're letting so many different versions of Godzilla coexist simultaneously. And that doesn't even include the DC and Marvel stuff, which I believe are done entirely independently.
They are.
Well, no, you know what? The DC stuff, Legendary does collaborate on that because that's the MonsterVerse version.
Right.
But Marvel, I believe, is done independently with Marvel. And yeah, I mean, it's like Toho's just letting people go out there and just put some cool takes out there. And I think it's really good. Hopefully, that's just what we're going to keep getting.
I mean, it's
Unless
basically just no. I highly doubt that's going to happen. But the Marvel version is basically just reviving the Marvel version of Godzilla back when they had the license back in the day. It is that version of Godzilla that the Avengers and Hulk and Wolverine and going into space and all that crazy shit. Like that's all the same Godzilla that was there before, which is also why they've reissued the older Godzilla licensed stuff that Marvel was working on for that exact reason. It's like he's back. Of course you have the foil cover, man. You have the foil cover to everything. Like
I'm so easy. I'm a '90s kid. Okay, I'm the most '90s kid.
We were talking about this the other day, Nick. Like when they're putting out facsimile editions of like the older like big books at DC, like Action Comics #1. Like, oh yeah, no, it's great that you got that, Raph. Oh, what do you got? The holofoil version. Like, they didn't have holofoil back in the day. Like,
of course I did. What are we talking? Come on, I am the most '90s kid.
I know what you're talking about. I have a small comic shop nowadays. It's only open on the weekends, Friday to Sunday, and it's fascinating to see the way that '90s kids react to any shiny cover.
Oh my god.
And I can almost I'll look at it's gotten to the point now where I'm so used to it. I kind of look at him and I'm like, oh, that guy's gonna want that shiny issue. I'm like, he definitely wants it. Like, and you can see and you can tell there's an age bracket. Definitely, it's like mid 40s to early 30s. You let them see a shiny cover, oh baby, they're sold.
Hey,
it's like anything, literally anything shiny. They're like, oh my god, this must be really special. And what? It kind of is.
I tell the story.
This or heroin.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure, right. Although I've heard they've started putting heroin in holofoil covers. Anyway,
get out of here.
No, I'll tell you where those come from. Those lenticulars.
Oh,
those things shed. They create dust.
God. Yes, they do. Especially those Extinction Agenda covers from back in the day, which I remember. I think it might have been Chris that told this story about how I think it might have been her brother. Again, it might have been her, or might have been somebody else. Thought that it was a sticker, and they peeled it off. And then realized, oh no, that was just the lenticular. And that's the end of the value on that one. Like
that
hurt
me on the inside.
Yeah. But no,
when are we gonna bring back? Remember ForceWorks #1?
Oh yeah,
and it had the world's most insane fold out that never really worked.
Oh my god!
It was always stuck to all different parts. But if you did get it unfolded, what even shape was it? I don't know. It was like a weird trapezoid from hell. But what a cool idea!
Yeah. I'm looking. Let's see if I can find the online image of that, what that entire thing looked like when it was unfolded. Oh my god. No, but I consider Uncanny X-Men #300 to be my first ever comic. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, and of course, holofoil, baby. Like that's it. Like I'm sure I had picked up random other comics like Ninja Turtles and stuff like that beforehand, but the one that I have the most focused memory of is waiting in line at the Kingsway movie theater in Brooklyn with my mom. There's a long line. Yeah. I jump into the AAA Comics and Cards, which was right on the corner of Coney Island Avenue and Kings Highway at the time. I go in, I buy my first comic, and then that's basically what got me into the world of comics from there. So yeah, I am a holofoil baby as well. I fully understand that. It's just, it has its time and it has its place to me.
Every single cover that's solicited.
God,
no.
Exactly.
I want.
That's its time and place. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't buy every single holofoil cover. Don't get me wrong. But when you do holofoil cover for the book I want, I will. I didn't even this month's orders. I didn't get the holofoil for the Action Comics because I got the AAPI month cover.
Oh, good for you.
Okay.
So there you go. So I don't do every holofoil.
Good for you. Good for you.
But no, actually, it's funny because my first comic was way before that, and it was Official Handbook of the Marvel Universe, Book of the Dead, #1, I think.
Yeah. You brought that up with Mert a couple weeks ago.
No, your first book was an official handbook.
I was 5 years old, and here's the thing: I was sick, and my mom was gonna have to take me to the doctors on the way to work, and she knew I was sick, so she wanted to cheer me up. So she went with me to the newsstand by the train station, and she kind of like flipped through all the comics, and she saw the one with the most words, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna get him to read, and it's like, here's a comic book, you wanted this, right? And I was like, yeah, mom, and I opened it, I'm like, oh, I'm 5. I don't know what deceased is. I don't know what not applicable is. I don't know half these words, but okay, dude. Mom.
And well, that's how you learned how to pronounce Mjolnir. You know, that's clearly.
Yeah, it's clearly Mjolnir.
That's why I never knew how to say it. I never read the handbook. My eyes would glaze over. I was like, whoa.
Kat Dennings corrected me. I said Mjolnir for the longest time, and then Kat Dennings completely fixed it for me.
This eBay listing, by the way, shows the front and back to that Force Works #1. Like here's the front, and then there's the back, and it doesn't quite line up. I love it.
Yeah, but look, they haven't properly unfolded this thing.
No, they haven't. Not at all.
Which is you need to find somebody who went in there and like mangled it, because that was the only way to get it undone. I guess I must have been a fold-out kid. You know, I started a little bit before the holofoil stuff kicked in, and in my mind, Uncanny 275, I was like, oh my God, it folds out. Like, this is unbelievable. You know, that was magical to me.
I do fully admit that I did buy Crunch and Munch entirely because it was advertised on the back of Marvel.
Absolutely.
Me too. I forced my mom to buy these, and oh my God, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man, it's like it wasn't anywhere ever as good as Cracker Jack, but they got plenty of people to buy it for that exact reason, because they were on the back of them.
There was like a little butterscotchy vibe there, you know. It had a little something different.
I like my Crunch and I still have fond memories of Crunch and Munch.
Yes. Does it exist? Do you think it's dead?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a good question, actually. Let me see. Crunch.
You know what? I would say that the fact that they got like Sam Keith to do like a Charleston Chew like tie-in cover, that probably kept me in the Charleston Chew game for an extra decade.
Hey man, those Pizza Hut X-Men comics.
Oh, don't get that. That is a masterpiece. That placemat should be hanging in the Louvre. I don't think
the Burger King deal with the X-Men on VHS, the cartoon.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Crunch and Munch still exists according to Wikipedia.
Wow.
And I had forgotten this, and Raph, you're going to laugh. Okay. So in 2004, the Yankees replaced Cracker Jack with Crunch and Munch at home games. And the club switched back to Cracker Jack almost immediately due to public outcry.
You can't do that. Hilarious. It's in the song. You can't switch it. You would have to. Were they singing the 7th inning stretch differently? Like,
no, they weren't. And that's just it. You know, like buy me some peanuts and Crunch and Munch. It just doesn't.
Actually, it kind of works when you say it, though.
Yeah, I guess. But still, it just sounds like a non-union equivalent, you know?
Okay, you know what I miss the most from baseball game snacks?
Yeah.
And this was a elementary school thing, too. Remember those little cups of malted chocolate ice cream?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, I miss those things.
Yeah,
who's still making a chocolate malt ice cream? No one.
Or my favorite were the Neapolitan with the wood spoon that you remember the taste of the wood more than you remember the taste of the ice cream.
Oh, definitely. Well, the ice cream didn't taste like anything.
Yeah, exactly. It was so
textural experience.
It was so crystallized and icy that all you were tasting was the wood,
the plywood.
So to bring it back to initial conversation, this is going to happen 3 more times, and I'm okay with that. But so you mentioned drawing Godzilla in a Sonic style. And,
yes, that is what my incredible collaborator. Thank you for teeing me up there. Jack Lawrence is doing, and our incredible colorist Reggie Graham is bringing those Sonic colors to it as well, and it really does look. People have only seen the one cover they did, which was the A cover that you had up on the screen previously.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, the interiors of this book, those two are such an incredible artistic team, and I feel so lucky.
I mean, honestly, it really does work, especially color wise, because that's something very difficult to capture with 2 characters that are so distinctly unique and different. is that if you're going to bring one into the world or the other, it should have a similar color palette and personality and feel if you're going to wind up doing that. And, it seems to have been achieved here.
Yeah.
Not to give too much away about the plot, because obviously you can't. Is this a they exist in the same world scenario? Is this a portal pops them in type of situation? And obviously, if you can't reveal it, by all means, but whatever you can give us as a little gum trail, then please, by all means.
I can talk about it a little bit within the parameters of what I believe they've already revealed to a degree. I don't know. I've seen some coverage out there that includes more details than I knew were out, so I know it's out there, and they do not exist in the same world.
Okay.
Godzilla will be coming to Sonic's world, which, by the way, it's just called Sonic's World.
Yep.
In the IDW books.
Okay.
As far as I know, I don't know that there's any. I always have to preface. I always have to add that as a follow that up with as far as I know. In my circumstance, I've not been allowed to call it anything other than Sonic's World.
That's fair.
And I do believe there are some details alluded to within the solicit about how they get there. But yeah, there's a reality is compromised. They're able to cross over.
Yeah.
And everything that you see, well, not everything, but most of what you see, almost, I would say, 99 point, out of our 101 pages, the vast majority, the 99% of those are, we're going to be in Sonic's world. And that's, the mechanic is less, how do I say? This was one of the more controversial things to get everybody to agree on in the process of this, because Sega knew what they were willing to go easy on, and Toho, I knew what they could and could not do in terms of that. The thing with Toho that's really tricky is you can't bring in characters other than the kaiju. I can't pull in Dr. Sarazawa or something like that, right? That's anything that's in the movies that's not a kaiju, you're really not bringing over. If you look closely in my Godzilla Rivals issue, a scientist pulls a bottle off a shelf that doesn't say Oxygen Destroyer, it says Oxygen Annihilator. Because they said, sorry, we can't, that's not in our purview of what we can bring over.
Sure.
It's just the monsters. So, you know what? We got just the monsters, and they're coming over to Sonic's world. And if we're starting with the greatest hits roster, and if we get the kind of reception that I feel like we're going to get, that it looks like we're already starting to get with this from people who are already in these fan bases of Sonic and Godzilla, hopefully we'll be able to do more and bring over, or let's say introduce more of those kaiju into this great mashup.
Yeah. And same could be said for Sonic characters at that, because shock of shocks, there are a lot of them. It's more than just the Amy sitting on your shelf over there, there's
she is the most important, but yes, there are others.
Yes, definitely. It's a rich roster of hedgehogs and otherwise that are making up Sonic's world and have been introduced over the years. Yes. Yeah.
I want to give you the Chicago dog version of this crossover, right? But before I can do that, you got to see if I can just make a good hot dog. You're like, is he getting it? Is he putting it on a grill? Is he toasting it up right? Are we going for the condiments? We're going to be doing a little relish, a little mustard, and then hopefully on the next one we're going to go nuts.
I'm down with that. Yeah, because we talk about the rich world and robust history of Godzilla. Sonic itself is having a bit of a revolution right now, both in the world of comics. IDW's had the license since 2017 now, 2016 technically, I think, and then 2017 they announced it. 2018 is when the comic.
Yes, correct, and that's his whole own thing. That very unique situation that led them to that. But they've been going strong since 2018, and it's really become a lore unto itself now.
Absolutely, yeah, and there have been Sonic comics, since we were all kids in one form or another. But IDW has done a really good job of making it a little bit more game lore. with their comics than what came before. Like Archie's comics were their own thing. Like they were basically like it was like Sonic Earth 2, if you want to put it that way. You know,
I think that's really well said.
In the world of comics, and this is a little bit closer to more game lore Sonic, that those of you who have been following the games over the years, which there have been a lot, and they've been good, and there've been but we're back at a place now where I feel like game wise and content wise, I mean, come on, there's freaking Jim Carrey out there as Robotnik, like there's been a lot of more Sonic in the public eye over the past couple of years than there have been before then, and there's a reason why he's as prevalent as a character as he is. He's everywhere.
Both of these franchises, worlds, character libraries, I don't know what the right terminology is for this.
Yeah,
they've done an amazing job, and some of it's organic, and some of it is by choice from the companies, the choices they made, and the things they've chosen to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
They've done an amazing job finding ways to keep their existing fan base to feel like they're eaten and hungry for more. Mm-hmm. But the thing I'm learning about this is I have opportunity to go to conventions around the country and signings, different opportunities and stuff. Both of these worlds, for lack of a better terminology, they have just young people love them. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to see how much they love them. If you got a toddler in your life, they've probably already started watching Godzilla evolution videos on YouTube, mm-hmm. which I think is a main gateway for people to get into the Toho Kaiju at this point. And then it's unbelievable to see how their interests evolve and how they express their personalities through the way that they find their fandom. And the same can be said for the Sonic stuff. I mean, you can be a fan of just the animation, just the games, just the comics, a weird combination of them. I mean, headcanon, I think, is sort of reigns supreme in the Sonic fandom. And I don't know if there's any one person that has the same headcanon. Like, it's quite distinct. And yeah, it's really cool. Like, both of these things I feel very fortunate to be able to take them on at this time where we're just going to have a lot of people picking them up because they just love these characters and they love these stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That much history involved with anything. Like, I mean, again, you get to pick and choose what's going to work for your story, within proper parameters and make the magic happen as such. And then everyone else can fill in the gaps accordingly, So that's something that can definitely live there, In
a weird way, I get to use no history because we are, how do I say, what's the best way to say this? Continuity agnostic in this comic, which is not to say that I do think if you've been reading Sonic IDW, the goal is to make it feel like these versions of the characters.
Sure, yeah.
But, I think both of the companies wanted us to make something that was like, let's focus on the iconography of these characters really being the thing that we're working with. So the one thing I was really given to play with by Sega was specifically from the game Sonic, first seen in the game Sonic Adventure, which is Station Square, which is a city that hasn't been in the IDW comics before. Mm-hmm. And that has been really interesting. But otherwise, I would say, other than that, as somebody told, I interviewed the guy, the showrunner from Wonder Man. Mm-hmm. And he had a really great line, which I'm sure a few of these Marvel guys have said this before. This is a no homework comic. And I think much like that's what he said about that show. And I think that's very true.
Absolutely.
And you know what? We want you to pick this up and feel like this reminds you of your favorite bits of Sonic and your favorite bits of Godzilla. But you don't have to know anything going into this. You don't have to worry about the history or anything like that. If you know what Station Square is, hopefully you feel like we've done it justice for you. But, this is about the fun. I mean, come with a 90s comics background myself, I love a good crossover. That feels like a summer event, and that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, well, not that we're going to get them, but immediately my brain goes there. It's like, oh, shit, Amalgam. Like, oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly where I went to DC. Well, I went to DC versus Marvel first, but...
Yeah.
Nick, since we're talking about licensed stuff, is there any sort of like, I don't know, I don't know about Grail, but like, is there still like a dream license that you've yet to work on that you want to work on at this point?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really fortunate. A couple months ago, I signed a contract for what was, I would say, my Grail license that I was able to chase down. I don't think you can see my shirt, right?
No, we can't.
Good. Then I'm not going to tell you. Because it's not announced yet, so I can't say anything.
Okay.
But
I feel so lucky. I really signed on to my Grail license, and it was a really tricky thing because, well, no, I shouldn't say anything else. But I'm really fortunate in that. But you know what the funny thing is, and maybe again, we're going back to the 90s kidness of it all. Mm-hmm. I think my other one that I have spoken about recently, I mean, outside of like, I love the superheroes. Marvel and DC both are just, these are great for me. And that's my lifeblood. I could, be thrilled to work on almost anything in either of those worlds. But the one thing that I really want to take a crack at, and I feel like I could do a good job with this, and there's a lot of room to work with in this, I really want to do Mario comics.
Ooh, there hasn't been a Mario comic in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
I think Dark Horse might be putting something out soon.
Okay.
I don't know the exact details of what it is. I don't know if it's a reprint. I don't know if it's more of like a kid's book, because Dark Horse is quite like diversified in what they do. Mm-hmm. But I would love to take a crack at like a Mario ongoing, see if we could get to like a couple of years and like build our own lore in there. I just feel like it'd be really fun, and it's kind of underexplored in some ways.
Yeah, it is.
The Super Mario Adventures comics from back when we were kids is apparently available on Amazon for purchase, and has been since 2015. So they did wind up putting that out. There was also a Mario manga that Kodansha put out by Kazuki Motoyama, who unfortunately passed away last year. But that's also available out of Kodansha, and I'm pretty sure it has been published here in the States, if not recently, then maybe around the time of the last movie. But there really have not been a lot of Mario comics, period, over the years.
There's not a whole lot of Mario content that's like got a narrative to it, right? The games do, obviously, but those are kind of like, they're not standalone, but they're not necessarily like a continuous narrative either, obviously there's a lot of character growth, but I think that tends to be more visual or the capabilities of the character himself. I think it would be fun. Like, let's do a monthly Mario comic book where we get to see their origin, and we get to build up to a place to where we are now. And maybe we take a few years to do it, and maybe along the way we get to, maybe he gets to meet Sonic, like maybe we do some fun stuff like that,
Sure, yeah. I mean, hey, if they can be in the Olympics together and they can be in Smash Brothers together, then clearly they can meet in the comic book world. The comic you might be thinking of, by the way, Nick, is not necessarily a Mario comic, but Raph and I mentioned this on previews not too long ago, that their Archie is doing a Super Mario Galaxy comic, essentially.
Oh, that's cool.
Where it's going to be like the Archie characters, but Super Mario Galaxy. So like it's a weird ass crossover. Like it rather than them meeting Mario, they're basically going to be the characters in Mario.
Weird.
I know, it's such a strange concept.
Why not? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that mean that Oni is doing that then?
That's a good question, actually.
Because didn't Oni get the like Archie sub-license or something? I don't know what happened. Something happened. Thank you for all your incredible research skills, by the way.
Oh yeah. No, dude, that's I'm the one in front of the computer. I'm the one who can make the magic happen here. Yeah. Starting in 2026, Oni is going to be publishing Archie comics.
Right.
So essentially they're going to be a sub-imprint. It'll still be Archie publishing, but Oni is going to be the one basically making the magic happen.
Fulfillment comic fulfillment, if you will, kind of what IDW is doing for Valiant right now.
Yes. Exactly the case. Yeah. And there's what is it? Is it Massive? I'm trying to remember. Actually, no, Raph, what's the name of the publisher that puts out like all the indies under Lunar? whenever we do previews, we always wind up on like their might actually be massive.
It could be massive. The whole massive, and then what were the behemoth? That whole thing is very confusing.
Yeah,
I've talked to them about trying to do books there, and I'm still confused about which one's the publisher, which one's the imprint. I can't figure it out.
That's what it is. Massive Indies is what it's called. So essentially, you sign a deal with Massive, and they then sub distribute your book, similar to what we're talking about here with IDW, and it's all the Diamond fallout more than anything else. Like after
what a crazy couple of years, man.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, trust me, we've talked about it aplenty here, but like it makes sense actually to bring this up, to be honest with you, because like the whole distribution model itself is a very different place than it was a couple of years ago. IDW itself is through Penguin Random House, like that's where their bread and butter is.
Yep.
And the case with a bunch of other publishers as well. They've chosen one route or the other, but the fact that there are multiple publishers now and not just the one conglomerates we own you of Diamond, kind of is a blessing in disguise in my mind, because you're not stuck within the terms of the giant behemoth. So
but Penguin Random House itself is a super giant behemoth too.
That is true.
True.
Not like it's not like you completely got away from that.
No,
it's just that not everyone is at Penguin Random House.
Right, exactly.
Right.
At least DC's still with Lunar, and then there are other companies with Lunar too. So like there's some sort of like
there are choices now, though. But that's just
exactly.
There are choices.
Like I believe I could get my DC trades from PRH if I wanted to. But DC singles, I got an option for that. It's very interesting. Like I will say this: the kind of comic shop I own is very, very small. It's 10 feet by 10 feet in an art market, and we're more like a comic book thrift store. But I can order my own books that I've made from PRH directly from them at retailer rate, which is really nice.
Yeah,
especially because I've been working with IDW and Boom, so that's convenient. But even Lunar is within my grasp, where Diamond would not have been. Diamond would not have given me an account. But if I wanted to start ordering from Lunar, my understanding is that they're pretty chill about minimums and stuff like that, and they would probably just treat me like a specialty, like a small bookstore that also has some comics.
Oh yeah,
but it's a possibility. And Diamond did not have that. That window wasn't open there. But with that said, nobody controlled the flow of information with as much accuracy and detail as Diamond did. So we've lost our sales numbers. We've lost our consistent sole source for solicits. It's hard to know exactly.
Yeah.
It takes more work to know what's been solicited now.
Trust me, as somebody who now needs to track down 6 different catalogs in order to actually get stuff together. And I am on the other hand, I am very glad that at least Penguin Random House puts out individual publisher catalogs, because you work for IDW right now and all that jazz, but like Penguin Random House, can you please put together a better catalog? Can you do me like the favor of maybe like actually having individual publishers inside your own catalog rather than here's the single comics, here's the graphic novels? Like no, that doesn't work.
The problem with that, well, there's 2 things with that. As someone who worked at Diamond, is one, their comic distribution for them is probably at like this much.
Yeah,
like how Marvel and DC are this much of like DC, Disney and Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
So they don't care. And the second thing is that catalog is going to be 8,000 pages, and you're going to have to sift through it for 200 pages of comics, because they publish all that other stuff that they publish. Cookbooks, fantasy, romance, action, science fiction.
It's true.
You're going to have to sift through all of that in a mega catalog, and I don't think you want to do that.
No.
And also, the Penguin team is pretty small. Like, it's... I would be shocked if they had more than a dozen people that handle the comics division.
Raph, how many times do I have to tell you? You have a job.
I want back in. I want back in.
You're in the right city.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That is
not to mention
out of New York. Still, I believe. At least I believe it is. I think so.
Yeah,
even though a lot of people I think work remotely.
I live. They're on the west side. I'm on the east side. I'm directly across from them.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like, when I did, and I have to say, I do really appreciate the accessibility that Penguin's given me to my own books, which was not something that existed previously. When I did Action Lab books, I had to order them via Action Lab, and guess who upcharged and kept a cut of what I paid? Action Lab. But Penguin, I don't have that issue. If I want to get my Penguin stuff, I can. But I'll give you an example. With the Power Rangers book that we did, they solicited it with no cover art. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the crazy thing about it. Penguin owns Boom. They owned Boom at the time.
Yes.
You couldn't have a shorter distance between contact points there.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But like Raph's saying, I think they got other priorities. I mean, that's how these companies are. They're expected to make as much money as possible with spending as little as possible. And that's something that I think you kind of lose. So even though I can get my books easy, the channel to retailers has changed.
There were the last couple of months there with Diamond before things went entirely tits up. I remember before IDW made the official switch entirely to Penguin Random House, and there were still solicits for IDW.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say 9/10 of the stuff had no cover. Exactly what you're talking about. It was cover to be revealed, cover to be revealed. Yeah.
So my wife's book was one of those books that got caught on the cusp. Her book came out in August of the year they changed over, and their first dedicated month was June, that they were dedicated solely to being PRH.
Yeah.
And because it was a quarterly book, they solicited it in the May catalog instead of the June one.
Yeah.
And they solicited the wrong thing. They put the wrong cover on it. Diamond had the wrong cover for it. And it was, oh my God, it was such a mess. So we had to wait until the following month when the PRH agreement began to actually catch up for her correct cover to come out. And there was people became like Kremlin. What do you say? I just realized
criminologists.
I've never said this word out loud before. It's tough to say. They became that about the funny aspects of her cover. So they solicited it with the wrong, once they finally updated it, they had the wrong logo on it, and people it was this whole thing where it was let's say it was a logo the publisher themselves had decided to replace, but the files were getting real mixed up. I fell on a weird cusp of my Godzilla issue I did with them. Mm-hmm. It was it came out at a week when IDW, or let me say, it came out maybe 2 weeks after IDW had fired the entire marketing team. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I didn't know if there were going to be preview copies of the book getting sent out. I had no idea what was going to happen for reviews. I was like, what's even going on? I mean, the way that these companies are operating nowadays, it's it's weird, man. It's getting real weird. The consistency is not there in the same way.
Dark Horse, I mean, what just happened with Dark Horse is frightening, to be entirely honest with you. I mean, those
is Embracer going to want to keep Dark Horse? Are they going to sell them? Are they going to close them down? Are they going to farm the licenses out? What are they going to do?
For one thing, they're Embracer Group, so I don't trust them at all.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Embracer Group has done an amazing job of doing absolutely nothing for anything that they own over the years. They buy companies and then they fail. THQ Nordic, I mean, I'm glad there's still a version of THQ that exists, but that initial disaster that happened over there when that was happening, I didn't know for a while that Dark Horse was bought by them. And then when the news came out that they got rid of, the only person who's been with Dark Horse since the very beginning, its very founder, and replaced him with a game executive, it told me that if the writing is not on the wall, then the writing is at least written on the printer that is going to print it to put it on the wall. Yeah. That things are going to be changing at Dark Horse significantly, and probably not for the better. Yeah.
I think, you can already tell from their catalog a bit, because there's a pretty heavy focus on licensed books as opposed to creator-owned.
No, it's interesting to see all these companies, the way they approach creator-owned stuff at the moment is really unusual. We're hearing so many mixed messages from them. Dark Horse is one where they would take a chance and put out something really weird and really cool.
Yeah.
But I've also heard from creators that maybe their expectations or experience didn't always line up with what they thought. And these are in the pre-Embracer days. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of shifts as we move forward. I think that, so I'll give you a small example of something I ran into. I had IDW was courting the at some point, or they had the Lara Croft license.
Yeah.
And I was excited to try and get some pitches in on some Tomb Raider stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was right around the time that Embracer bought Crystal Dynamics, or whatever the branch, whatever branch of it is. I can't keep track of it. I don't know, whichever one owned the the Tomb Raider stuff. Right. And it's like, it's really weird because you would think that would mean that Dark Horse would just go all in and you'd be seeing a really robust line of Tomb Raider comics, but I don't really know if that's the case. I think maybe we've had a couple miniseries, maybe.
Yeah, there really hasn't been a lot of anything out of Dark Horse, and really what hit them most back in the day, and I mean, yes, they're making Star Wars comics again, so it's not like they don't have rights to certain Star Wars comics.
Some Star Wars.
Exactly, some Star Wars, but not all Star Wars. And when they had all Star Wars, that's when they were at their peak. And when Marvel took the rights back, which again made perfect sense because Marvel is owned by Disney, and that's synergy right there. Yeah. It was kind of a oh crap, what do we do now moment for Dark Horse. And I remember that's when they started to be a little bit more experimental, exactly what you're talking about, because they were like, what's gonna stick, what's gonna make sense. Like it's when they started doing some more superhero stuff than they'd ever done before. It's when they started doing some more out there comics and hoping that maybe those would be the ones that connect with audiences. Obviously they still have their Hellboy out the wazoo. There's always a Mignola comic to promote because he's the man, and always will be the man. But even that only goes so far for Dark Horse as their premier property that they currently own. So, yeah.
What would you guys want to see from them? What would you want Dark Horse to be doing if they're thriving, not just surviving? What do you see? What do they look like?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I kind of like that they were trying their at least to put their toes into creating a universe for a little while there. Like something, even if it's not superheroes, like even if it's like crime or whatever, like I want to see a series of books rather than just this is going to be what we're going with at this particular moment. Black Hammer is theirs also, right? If I remember correctly. So
yes, that's been with them. And I don't know what kind of agreement that is. I don't know if that's actually they have a stake in it, or Jeff has just been with them because they've been good to him, but it's been there. Yep.
And Black Hammer could be that, quite frankly, if given enough leeway, because it's excellent. It's excellent writing. It's excellent world building. They've had Patton Oswalt's comics coming out that are working really well for them.
Oh yeah, Minor Threats. That's what
Minor Threats. Right? Yep. But yeah, that's really what I would want. Like build a small universe, like something similar to what Skybound did with the the Kirkman stuff. Like make something work. That's
well. Energon, how that's as just from a business standpoint and creatively. I don't read all those books, but I do appreciate all the work that's getting done on them. Wow, the way that they manage that and how they continue to manage it and make it exciting and make it feel like we're all just waiting for them to do their next thing over there. Yeah. That's really a great lesson in how to put a universe together in this current climate that we have.
Absolutely.
So here's my thing with Dark Horse is if it's still owned by Embracer, so I don't know. Let's say I move to Oregon and Embracer loves me and they replace their CEO with me. Yeah. I think I would still keep some of that video game tie-in stuff going.
Yeah.
And maybe like Tomb Raider, maybe I would expand that, create a more but on the other hand, this is something that's always bothered me is you're based in Portland. Bendis is in Portland. Kelly Sue DeConnick is in Portland. Fraction is in Portland. Yeah. Why can't you come to them like Image has Kirkman, or Image has right now Jeff Johns and his friends. They're doing their own universe at Image. Why can't Dark Horse have their own Bendis, Fraction, Mignola, Lemire, like maybe not together in a shared universe, but like a project that they all kind of participate in.
Yeah, Portland's finest, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can. There's no like, hey, you're on the East Coast. Can I schedule you for like a 3 p.m.? No. Can you drive 10 minutes to the office and let's talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be interesting. And that's something that I feel like you know, if I mean, we're comparing apples to oranges here, but like that's something that I feel like is something that's allowed IDW to continue to succeed over the years, is that they have such a wealth of different properties, and especially, you know, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, you know, so many different directions that they've been able to go to diversify their portfolio over the years. And like, yeah, some of these things they don't own, they publish, but they're clearly going to still make plenty of money off the publishing itself that continues to allow them to roll. Diversifying the portfolio. That's what Dark Horse needs to do, straight up, you know, period.
That's my grail, by the way, is I want to be the first person to have worked on Ninja Turtles that people get confused by the name on the cover.
Yes.
Like, did they get the turtle to write? Is this like some sort of meta joke?
Yeah, like
that's good.
Raphael Suhu? What?
Who is it? Wait, I thought their last name was Hamato. Is the Splinter's last name is Chai? What? Huh? That doesn't make any sense. What are you doing, IDW? You're ruining the Turtle franchise, IDW.
Oh my god!
It's funny because I applied right after Diamond. I applied for an opening at Paramount for brand manager, and it was at Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if it was actually for Ninja Turtles, but it's Nickelodeon. And I think, you know, not to toot my own horn, but I really think Nickelodeon dropped the ball, not making me the brand manager of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It really is a shame.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Shame. Yeah.
I am aside from Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird and the people who've worked on Ninja Turtles, I am arguably the most qualified person to work on Ninja Turtles.
Oh
I like that. That's good.
You know, I on top of the whole, like, you know, idea of what we're talking about with the publishers and stuff like that, I wanted to get your take on digital right now. I went on a whole thing with Martheus when we recorded about where digital is heading, and I mean, you yourself, you know, I think that one of the, I mean, sure, you own a small comic shop, but digital is, to me, such a way to get those smaller comics, whether they're, I mean, smaller. I mean, Sonic and Godzilla is not smaller, but still, you know, like it's a name brand out there, and you're talking. But I know what you mean. Youths, you know, get them in the hands of them. Digital really is the way to go.
Digital's an interesting thing. So, I never would have thought we would be where we are with digital when you and I were tabling at New York Comic Con, for example.
Yeah,
that was a completely different climate. I think DC was still trying to get. What was that thing called going? It began with a Z. It had like a really weird name, like
Zorro
my god, or Zur or something. I don't know.
That was a great imprint, by the way. I'm gonna have to look it up because, like,
it was cool.
Yeah, because they really dropped the ball on that way earlier than they should have, because they had some really good books coming out of that. I'm gonna find the name of it as you talk. Continue.
I can't remember what it was, but it had like a funny Z name. But you know, Comixology really came up around that time, and I think the biggest mistake that Comixology made is that they wanted to be the diamond of digital. And then when the opportunity came up to really maybe become that and sell to Amazon, they did it. And look what happened. Comixology is dead. I mean, it doesn't, you can be a Comixology original now if you've already made the comic and you bring it to them. That's how you can become a Comixology original, which is just bizarre. And like, that's like, that doesn't even, what's even the point then in that case,
and who even uses it anymore?
Brent.
I don't know if anyone does.
Brent Cassina is the one who still uses it.
He's the last man standing.
He literally, like, Brent, God love him, like, our, you know, my glorious co-host is the one who keeps Comixology Unlimited alive, because he has all these things that he took out 10 years ago that he hasn't read yet, that if he were to remove from his library would no longer be available on Comixology Unlimited, because that's how weird their system is. But as long as he has it checked out, he can still read it. And by the way, the imprint was called Zuda. With
Zuda.
Yeah.
Well, I thought Zuda was a great idea.
It was.
And the thing that was interesting about Zuda was that it was made to be read horizontally, which is what we thought was going to be the future of reading a digital comic at first. We were all using laptops. Our devices weren't nearly powered enough to do anything with it. I used to review comics. Like 2006, 2007, I was the in-house reviewer for a website called Toy News International.
Oh, yeah,
and
that guy. I know him.
$50 a month to review comics for them.
Wow.
By a personal check that the guy would send me.
Love
and
it.
at some point, simultaneously, I was demoing pet snacks in PetSmart and Petco from like an independent company.
Yeah.
And one time they said they named me their like, I don't know, like freelancer of the month. And they sent me a Palm Pilot. And I thought I was so cool sitting on the fucking bus, reading my digital comics panel by panel on a Palm Pilot. Zoom in, zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out. And it was terrible. And the PDFs were like 1 megabyte and the quality was trash. But you know what? I was doing it. And that got me into then I started making web comics, and that got me into thinking about what the future of digital comics are going to be. And I really I used to sell digital comics at my booths at conventions. And let me tell you, I didn't sell many of them. And I tried a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we ever really surpassed the heyday of webcomics in terms of making original digital comics. That was about as good as it got. But that was also very different because a lot of those were strips. So at most, you're getting a page at a time, typically. I was hoping that we were going to see some kind of evolution of the way Tapas was working or something like that.
Yeah.
Where we were going to be giving people larger chunks. So when I launched a webcomic in 2020 and I sent out press releases and got it on some news sites and stuff like that, I was also selling chapters on Gumroad. And I was like, maybe this could be sustainable. And guess what? No, absolutely unsustainable in every way whatsoever. Didn't make any sense. It wasn't worth doing it because right around the turn of this decade is when the audience completely coalesced around the webtoon format.
Absolutely.
Which is so funny because it couldn't be more different than what we thought webcomics were going to be a decade earlier.
Absolutely.
It's so right now I think we're in a really weird space where all these publishers are rushing to catch up with the fact that webtoon has an audience that you simply can't even generate in the book market. Yeah. And so they're just trying to put out things they published in the past. Digital, vertical. But the thing is about it, that for a very small select number of people, that's going to be a great business.
Yeah.
For the vast majority of comic book storytellers or just comic storytellers, you're not really going to see anything out of that. You're still going to have to collect it yourself and print it and crowdfund it or take it to conventions, whatever. And I think we're at a super weird time for digital comics right now because we thought that superhero comics digitally were going to have like a really vibrant marketplace, but that marketplace is almost completely gone. And I would say we find more people nowadays who pirate the big two comics and then just go buy the issues they like. They're still great customers. Nobody's saying they're not buying the comics, but they're reading them first so they can read them the moment they drop, and then they're going to the shop Thursday, Friday, whatever, picking up the issues they collect. And that's where we are, and it's such a weird space. I really don't even know what's going to happen next.
Well, I'll tell you what. Two things immediately come to mind. One, we mentioned Zuda, we mentioned DC doing their digital initiative. What are they on right now? Webtoon. DC publishes stuff through Webtoon in a very similar way that they were doing Zuda back in the day. It's just now they don't have the overhead of having to maintain a digital front themselves. They can just go ahead and publish it on Webtoon, and then Webtoon deals with it. Two, what the main publishers seem to be going for these days is the Netflix model, which is, you know, Marvel Unlimited, DC Infinite. They're putting out their own subscription models, which I subscribe to because obviously if I read 3 comic books in like a 4-month period, I'm still paying for my subscription because of how expensive comics are now. But like that's where Marvel and DC have gone. It's everyone in between that are in that in between space. And it's because Kindle is still ubiquitous. Whether we like it or not, you know, they have the former Comixology space. They have Brent as their last subscriber to Comixology Unlimited. I'm going to throw that out there one more time.
They got the panel-to-panel technology, which other places have mimicked, but have not done as effectively.
Yes, if you look at Marvel Unlimited 10 years ago to now, it is so much of a better environment now. However, you still can't search for shit, and that's disappointing.
It's those apps are challenging. They had a lot of growing pains. Marvel Unlimited, I was on as soon as it launched, and I was like, I'm so happy this exists, but I'm not going to be able to enjoy it for a long time because they would be missing issue 4 out of a 5-issue miniseries just randomly. You know, it was like very strange at first. Now, obviously, they've done a great job updating those catalogs, and I love to see it. But yeah, if you want to tell original stories and you want to start digitally, I guess you just make a webtoon now. You know, I don't really know what else there is. I spent a lot of time trying to explore this, and I think one of the reasons that I've probably shifted my focus towards making licensed comics is because I had a great deal of passion for making digital comics, but the possibilities seem missing at the moment. The audience doesn't really seem to be gravitating towards anything other than a vertical scroll.
Well, what is good at least is that, I mean, if you want to bring it back to IDW for a minute, IDW has their own app, you know, where you can buy, you know, books digitally and stuff like that. They're on Global Comics Gold as well now. So, you know, they have comics that are digitally available on there. There's a robust library system available now for a whole bunch of stuff.
Do you guys use Hoopla?
Yes,
I love Hoopla.
I had to sign up for a Yonkers library card in order to get Hoopla because I'm close enough to Yonkers that it's able to work, but New York City doesn't pay for Hoopla, and even
that's a scandal.
But here's the thing: Hoopla charges out the ass to library systems.
I did not know.
There was I just got an email a couple of weeks ago, actually, that Yonkers had to change the amount of books that they allow people to have checked out.
So what's the change?
So it went from being, I think, 5 a month down to, I think, 3. As they charge per checkout at Hoopla.
Yeah.
Hoopla's
a different model. So like, if you're on Libby. Is that what they call it? Or did it change its name? It's Libby, right? Libby.
Yeah.
So Libby, your library owns the digital books in the collection. Hoopla, it's just borrows, right? Yeah. You know, and if it's on Hoopla, you get it instantly, which is great if you're a consumer. And I love it. We're very fortunate out here in the LA library system. We get 15 a month.
Yeah.
And if I want to, I could go on there right now and just use all 15. And it's great. They got movies. I can watch them on my TV, on my Roku. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's great. Like, but yeah, I don't know. It's how did we end up in this weird situation? Distribution's crumbling. The digital funnel's narrowed so much that it feels like there are like 4 sources. You can go to Amazon if you want, or you have to go to the publishers, or you can go to your library, or you have to make it look like a webtoon, or really nobody's going to read it.
I think it's just that in general, like, media is compressing, right? Because now look, we got Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers, which has HBO, TNT, TBS, Discovery, CBS,
crazy,
Paramount Plus, HBO Max. Like, everything's compressing down, and then. So every single company with any sort of prominence is about like, hey, you know, do the least to make the most, like you were talking about before. And it's like, it's just so frustrating because like I look at even like my own like comic habits have changed. I was crazy though when I was still working at Midtown and in Diamond. I was reading 200 comics a month because I could just go to work and read at lunch. And, I was the guy everyone went to, like, hey, Raph, what's this book about? Right. Sure. Great. But like now I don't have that pressure, but also like, I don't have that incentive. Like I don't really feel this dry. I feel like there just doesn't seem to be that excitement. I mean, that's not true completely. Like, I do love what IDW is doing overall. Yeah. I do love what DC's been doing overall.
Yes.
And I'm more excited for them, but like, the one book I was excited about from Marvel, they killed because they don't like Darkhawk. I don't know why. They just.
Raph, thank you for bringing it up, actually, because we were talking on our comic timing, message group that we have with like all the members of the show and stuff like that. And there was a clip of Dan Slott. He was on the Word Balloon podcast a couple weeks ago, and he made perfectly clear that if you want his books to succeed, you have to order issue 1, and you have to order issue 2, and you probably even have to order issue 3, because right now at Marvel, it's a 5-issue cycle. Like, it doesn't matter whether or not it says it's an ongoing. If you do not sell well on issues 1 and 2, you have a 5-issue miniseries, and it's going to be closed at issue 5, whether you had 12 issues of story to tell or not. And that's just where we are right now. At least with Marvel. So yeah,
Marvel's an interesting bag. Like, they're the last holdout from going to the West Coast.
Yeah,
and I think the question is, are they going to make the jump? Is Disney going to force them to make the jump at some point? And I think that their business model's a little bit different because of that. And I think that the climate there's a little bit different. Yeah. And I'm really curious to see what this next decade looks like for them. If Doomsday flops, well, it's not going to flop, but if Doomsday underperforms, what happens? Yeah. Is Feige out? Or do we get a re-envisioned? Are we going back to the comics as R&D rather than chasing what they're doing in the... not that they don't, they do obviously continue to develop wonderful ideas every single week, and they put out great issues, but let's not get it twisted. I mean, they're announcing things coming up in their summer event that are intended to mirror what we know is going, characters and connections we're going to see in Doomsday, right?
Which always works every single time. Always works and has like remember when the X-Men all of a sudden were wearing leather in the comics? That always works.
It did work, yeah.
Or even look, Civil War 2 coming out when the Civil War movie came out. That was a ridiculous one.
Yeah.
We've seen with DC that the movies have to succeed or fail on their own merits. And with Marvel, they've obviously succeeded quite a bit. But I think that we've also seen that if your comics take really big chances, the readers are going to respond to it. I mean, what they've done with All In and Absolute and even KO. I know that I've had some friends that have, KO's been for them, it hasn't been for them. But the truth is they're reinvigorating things with the way they're approaching it. And it's exciting.
A stupid amount of fun. It really is. Like it is as close to a manga as DC has gotten with their overall plot line, because they're literally putting out a battle comic. Like,
it is. I've got them all sitting here. I gotta read them all at some point.
It's a damn good amount of fun. It really is.
I've actually, that was one of my long dreams, was to just do a battle comic. And at some point I pitched them one. I'm not going to say who the character was, but I pitched it to DC. It was the character, and it was just that versus. And it was going to be, every issue would be a different outrageous battle. And trust me, this is not, whoever you think this character is not who you think it was. And I definitely see why they didn't do it. With that said,
so you wanted Beppo to fight everyone?
Wow.
Who'd you say? What?
You wanted Beppo the super monkey to fight everyone?
I'll tell you what, it wasn't Beppo, but it might as well have been. It's basically that tier. And I think the editor was like, "Sure, buddy, send me the pitch. Sounds great." Like, just so he could be laughing at it. But
oh my god!
But that's what we all want, right? Creators, we want to make a battle comic. Readers, we want to read a battle comic. It's so much fun. Yeah. I do like what Marvel's doing. I honestly was an X-Men relaunch skeptic, but I love what they're doing with the X-Men line. Yeah. That said, it is tough when you know that there's that kind of miniseries energy to everything. Not that they're not going to keep doing great stories, but I'm curious to see how Marvel, DC, raised the bet. Let's see how Marvel answers. Are they going to knock, or are they going to?
This is the way the pendulum swings, though. There are a couple of years where it's all Marvel baby, and then DC's a little bit down, and then there's years where DC, and then they're a little bit down, and even now in the movie space, unfortunately, Paramount, Warner Brothers, HBO Max Go may very well wind up, causing some issues in that movie space once that merger winds up happening, which, by the way, I don't think we've 100% mentioned on this show, because it's been a couple weeks. We had a couple episodes about that Netflix acquisition. Yeah. How'd that happen? But
I'm not fully convinced that this Paramount Warner Brothers thing is going to go forward. Everything is so unpredictable right now. And I know Larry Ellison's been doing as much as he can do to cozy up before, like ahead of time to announcing this. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just feel like this is really one of your classic, like, antitrust scenarios.
Absolutely.
How can it really happen? We've never seen anything this big.
Look, if JetBlue couldn't merge with Spirit, like when you think about that, like there was a merger on the table between JetBlue and the one where you have to fly the plane. And that could not go through because that was considered antitrust. And yet here we are again, different administration. We're not a political podcast. We're not going to get into it, but still different situation.
Interesting question. So obviously they've done what they can do to appeal to the powers that be.
Yes, of
course.
Have
they done enough? I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, and it's very interesting. But either way, to go back to my initial statement, though, it feels like now DC even has a little bit of the extra momentum in the movie space and the TV space. Like Lanterns is coming out soon. It's a Lindelof production. I'm hyped for it, even if some people aren't because his costume wasn't green enough. Supergirl's coming out this year. We've got the sequel to Superman coming out next year. There's a lot of good stuff on the table now at DC, and Marvel's kind of playing a little bit of catch up for the first time in a while.
Well, it is. You were saying the ups and downs at DC and Marvel. I don't think DC's been on top since the 90s.
Like no. Wait than that.
New 52 got them close. Yeah. But I don't even know. I mean, Marvel's market share has been supreme.
Yeah,
because they put out almost twice as much product.
Dude, John's era, mid-2000s, you know as well as I do. Like when Infinite Crisis was going down, when JSA was coming out.
That's 20 years.
No, I know.
It's a long time.
It's still 20 years.
It is. It definitely is.
Yeah. My idea of 20 years ago has changed so much.
Tell me about it. I've heard Marvel has their own thing in the works that they think is not an absolute killer, but I think an absolute competitor.
Okay.
I'm really curious to see how it lands. I mean, traditionally, I would normally say the trying to do the thing that's gonna. It doesn't always work when you try to do the comparable thing.
Yeah.
But look, Absolute certainly must have been inspired partially by the success of the reinvigorated Ultimate line.
Absolutely.
But then it somehow surpassed it. So maybe Marvel can do the same with what they've got.
Also, I see you laughing there, Raph. That was unintentional. The absolutely was unintentional.
That was your second absolutely, by the way.
Yeah, and I blame you, okay? I learned it from you.
Ultimately, you did.
Yeah. Ultimately, we don't know what'll happen.
Yeah, I know.
It's so ultimate what DC is doing. Absolutely.
Could it be a new universe? Could we be seeing a new 52 weeks of books just heading our way?
I don't know. It would have to be iconic, but
MC2.
It'll be epic, whatever happens.
That's true. I just because we talked about it, and we'll get back to some wrap ups and stuff like that. But obviously, the Brand New Day trailer dropped on the day that we're recording this, and I'm impressed. Honestly, it had the feel that I wanted it to, and it kind of feels like sad mopey Spider-Man, but that's my favorite Spider-Man sometimes is sad mopey Spider-Man and getting his way out of it, like Man Spider storyline quite possibly.
Please.
Oh my God, yes, I'm down. I'm completely down. As long as we don't get organic web shooters forever, then I'm perfectly okay. But what are you gonna do?
If we get emo Peter, I'll be even happier.
Oh my God.
He's looking super emo.
Is.
Just also pull his hair down, point at some people on the street.
You mean like Spider-Man 3? Yeah, I love that, obviously. Yeah,
we still have very fond memories of going to see that movie, Raph and I, and walking down the street doing the Spider-Man 3 dance afterwards.
It's been almost 20 years since then.
I know. Yeah, but
coming up soon.
Man, oh man, it's a good time. It's a good time to be a Spider-Man fan, at least, especially with even the Casey stuff coming out right now. Like it's a bit of a reinvigoration there. And talking crossovers, Superman, Spider-Man happening in the not too distant future.
Oh yeah,
oof! I cannot freaking wait, man. So. But to bring it back to your crossover, how many issues?
If we have to,
I know how many issues we looking at for this summer.
So I don't know if I'm supposed to say that yet.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Fair enough.
But I will say it's in keeping with what we are seeing from miniseries other places that we discussed in this podcast.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't know, just because I don't think they've said it. So I don't want to be the one to
that's
break any information. You know, I don't know what they're precious about. You can never guess. But you're going to be reading. Let me just say, this book is starting in July, unless something happens. Which the way things are going nowadays, sure, anything can happen.
Yeah, right.
And you should anticipate to be reading it through the end of the year, and then hopefully around this time next year we'll have a collection out for you that'll be gorgeous.
Hell yeah!
And we'll have you on to talk about the next one.
Yeah, I just seem to be collecting IDW.
Exactly.
I just seem to be collecting IDW writers since, I had Tim Sheridan on it not too long ago. So, we're just going to go down the list slowly but surely and get to everybody.
We get Freddy. We get Freddy for Ninja Turtles.
Freddy for Ninja Turtles. There you go, baby. I haven't talked to him in a while, but
he doesn't put me in that book. I swear to
God. I am super excited for you, Nick, man. This entire book looks like a joy, and it looks like you're having fun out there. And I love to see friends of mine succeed and get to do things like this at the big boys. And hell yeah, man, absolutely. Let everybody know where they can find you, and also for matter, you never actually mentioned the name of your shop. So.
Oh, yeah, I keep it kind of close to the vest. So I live in San Pedro, California, which is we're at the very end of Los Angeles, and our shop is in an art market called Crafted.
Okay.
And the shop itself is called Cabrillo Beach Curiosities. We're open Friday to Sunday. Okay. So if you're in the LA area, come hang out. Shoot the shit, talk about some comics. They just reopened the bar across the way from us, so if we really get along, we'll head over there afterwards.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I hopefully I'll be whatever that bucket list license. We'll be making that announcement soon, I hope.
Okay.
We actually still have to pick the pitch for that one. I'm still waiting on the stakeholder to decide what the story's going to be. They had me go back. The first pitch they sent along was so insane. And it was I was like, I can't believe they picked this one out of the group. I was like, this is so great. This is such a dream come true. And then they were like, yeah, and they were cool about it, but I think they wanted something a little more traditional, which I gave them. They said specifically the phrase was high stakes.
Okay.
So I have given them 2 pitches, both with the title high stakes. So we'll see how they feel about that. Yeah. And yeah. It should be good. Guys, it was so nice to catch up with you. It's been a while since we talked, so this was a joy to just shoot the shit about comics and life and stories.
Yep. Come back anytime you want, Nick. We're happy to have you.
I appreciate it so much.
Let everybody know where they can find you on the socials and all that jazz.
Most of the time I'm at Nick Marino, but sometimes I'm not because somebody got there first. So, just type in my name and see what happens. See if you find me or you find someone else.
Okay, well, I will find your handles and put them in the show notes one way or the other. So
if you do the wrong ones, that'll be funny too. So it's okay.
That is amusing. Yeah, I know a few people who, whenever they get emails from not them, like if somebody uses their email instead of their own email, they'll then write back an entire, fake letter or something like that.
Yeah, I do that.
Or they'll unsubscribe them from whatever Netflix plan they accidentally subscribed them for.
Well, I got Nick Marinos in all over the world, one in Canada, one in Italy, who used my email address for their bank accounts.
Oh, that's messed up.
I'm like, guys, are you kidding me? And the one in Italy, they can't seem to change the email address on the account. So I'm getting this guy's information. I'm not going to lie to you. He's got a nice little chunk of euros in that account. I'm trying to see if I can transfer that.
Hey. Well, we didn't hear about any crimes here on this podcast. I want to make that perfectly clear.
I'm sorry. I just blacked out for the last 30 seconds. What just happened?
Yes, exactly.
I'm just saying, if it's my email address,
it's your email.
It's not really mine.
It's your money, and you need cash now.
Yep.
Thank you. You get it, Raph.
One other thing I meant to mention when we were talking apps real quick, and I promise after this we'll wrap it up, is that if you haven't checked out the app Comics Plus, I don't know if you have access via the LA library system, but that's another great one. Okay, yeah, they've got everybody, including IDW, you name it, they got it. Yep.
You know what? When I first started using it, it didn't I was still wanting some options. Maybe I didn't find, and I'm hoping, because that was maybe like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Sounds like they've expanded and they brought in more, which is great. Thank you.
They definitely have. Their searches still ask, but so is everybody. So what can you do? Yep.
These companies, they're doing the best they can with 2 employees or whatever.
Exactly.
It's like, it's insane.
Yep. Raph, where can they find you?
I'm Raph does stuff pretty much everywhere. Most socials, but I don't use a lot of my socials. I do stream on Twitch where I talk to myself about all this, what we do here, what we just did, except to myself.
Okay.
Cool.
Occasionally there's other people there too, right?
Yeah, every now and then. Oh yeah. Also, I'm the DM of Okora on the Edge, which is my own homebrew world. It's every other week.
Ooh.
It's Sunday this week because I have plans on Saturday. A certain fantasy baseball draft we couldn't get moved, so I have to do it during my game time.
I have no idea what you're talking about. However, thanks for reminding me because I almost made plans for Saturday. So
yeah, 3:00. Remember that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So that's me. Easiest way to find me is I'm gonna restart my WordPress, and I've got raphdoesstuff.com lined up. I just need to get my paycheck and pay for it.
And you also have the Comic Timing Patreon where you can post stuff as well. So there you go.
Yeah. About that.
Anywho,
I got like 90 books to review, and it's like I don't got time.
Yeah, well, you definitely have some YouTube shorts to make, Mr.
I owe you like 700 YouTube shorts. I just sold.
I know.
I've read a short box in between like the one and this one.
Well, good, because they're called YouTube Shorts. So you've read a short box. You'll have plenty of things to do. All right.
But those are technically YouTube longs. So I can't.
If you need to make a YouTube long, YouTube long, I love it. I'm creating a separate website called YouTube Longs right now, if it doesn't already exist. Oh, my God. And on that note... Email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. Facebook.com/Comic Timing is where you can find this conversation and converse with us as well. Also, the Comic Timing fan group is a lovely group to join, so go ahead and do that as well. We're on Blue Sky as Comic Timing. We're on Instagram as Comic Timing Podcast, and we are on Threads as Comic Timing Podcast as well. Thanks once again to Nick for joining us. Thanks to Raph. Thanks to me. And as always, there's always time for comics. And Godzuki.
Good one.
If you weren't going to do it, I was going to do it.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I just never found a way to fit it in.